Hello again, everyone. All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to go over a workaround for an issue that I encountered all the while using the MPC's virtual instruments and key groups. So essentially what wound up happening was that I used a virtual instrument to record a harmony and a melody, and then later on after the fact I decided that I want to apply an insert or automation to the harmony without it impacting the melody. Well, because they were recorded on the same track and on the same program, I couldn't do that until I figured out this workaround. So without further ado, let's take a look. Okay, all right. So up until this point, I've discussed automation, pad mixing, channel mixing, etc. But the problem is that not all of those techniques apply to all program types, namely the key groups and the plugins. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a workaround. And by the way, this is my workaround, my preferred technique. Don't take it as gospel. It's just, it just makes my workflow a little bit easier. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be inputting notes using the key step by Arturia. Okay, so now let's find our plugin. Let's see, we have tube sounds. Let's switch to electric, ballot. Okay, good. All right, perfect. Sounds good to me. All right, let's go back to main. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so now let's start recording our parts. Let's say I'm going to cycle over to grid mode, and yep, here we are. Let's get started. Okay. Okay, sounds good. Now, I want to record a chord progression atop this. Alright, chord number 2. I'm going to pick it up an octave. Okay, so now all of our parts are recorded. What if I want to apply an effect or automation to the chord progression, but not necessarily the main riff? Well, underneath normal circumstances, what I would do is I would go under menu, go to pad mixer, and make alterations from there. But the problem is that pad mixing is not allowed for plugin programs. So what do? Well, let's go back to main. Let's go to our grid. This is where resampling comes into play. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the amplitude or lower the velocity of the main riff, resample the chord progression, and then afterwards bring the main riff back into the arrangement. So I'll show you how I do this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight all of the notes of the main riff. I'm going to click the up arrow in the lower right hand corner, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dial down the velocity all the way, just all the way. Let's see here. Now some of them didn't dial all the way to 0, so we can just use our wheel here to take care of that. Let's see, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so that was another one that kind of got away from us. 0, 0. Okay, good. All right, let's go over here. Let's do the exact same thing. Our velocity to 0. Oh, and by the way, the data wheel here is automatically tethered or assigned to the velocity parameter. All right, all the way down, all the way down. Perfect. All right. Again, that took a little bit. That seems like a bit much, but trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, so if we play this back, all that's left is our chord progression. So now what we can do is we can go into menu. Go back to main and access our sampler. All right. Now, by default, our sampler accepts audio from inputs 1 and 2. But what we're going to do is we're going to dial this over to resample left and right. And in this mode, the MPC is just going to record its own playback. Arm the recorder. Press play start. And there we have it. There's our sample. I'll call it chord progression 1. Okay, got that done. We'll save it to YouTube demos. Here we are. I can overwrite that one. Cool. All right. Okay, so now that our sample has been saved, what we can do is dial over to track number 2. Track number 2, we'll make that a drum program. I'll call track number 2 chord progression. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. And now what we can do is we can browse for our sample. I have it stored externally. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load it on to this pad. Load it up. We'll just replace it. Good. All right. So there it is. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. So let's go back to main. All right. Let's go back to track number 1. So this is where we had our main riff stored. Okay. So the good news is that because we never moved our main riff, all we have to do is just highlight our notes and just dial up the velocity one more time. The chord progression, let's see, we can just dial it up to, let's just say 90. Okay, cool. And now as far as the chord progression goes, we can do the exact opposite. We can either erase it or just dial it to 0. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase it. There's no need for it anymore. Unless, of course, I want to make changes later. All right, so let's dial back up to 90. Okay, all right, let's expand. Let's get the rest of this here. Good, all right. And we can get rid of this. We can get rid of this and this. So now all that's left is our main riff. We'll play that back. Let's see. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to main. Let's go to track number 2, which is our chord progression. And let's play them both at the same time. I'll trigger the sample with the pad this time. Good. All right. Now let's. Okay, so our sample is stored on pad A number 1. So let's just go ahead and draw that in. Let's nudge that backwards. There we are. And now we're good to go. And now the techniques that the techniques that I discussed previously, pad mixing, automation, etc., etc. Now we can implement that to our sample. Let's see. Home pad mixer. Good. Let's apply an insert to this pad. Let's do a couple of inserts. Okay, now let's implement automation. Hold shift, step sequence, the step sequence sub function automation. Here we are. We'll press overdub, play start, and let's go. Stop. All right, let's see, hit stop, and let's turn our automation off. There we have it. And what else can we do? Should we just leave it at that? I think we can leave it at that. I'm tempted to do other things, but you get the point. All right, so that is my technique behind applying automation and pad mixing to key groups and plugins. All right, guys, I'm hoping that workaround was helpful to you. If you guys have any questions about anything MPC related or any questions about this particular topic, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later. All right.